Welcome to part 2 of building a Microsoft Excel optimization spreadsheet using Lindo's What's Best Linear Optimizer. Today we're using What's Best with New York State Local Finance Law. New York State Local Finance Law debt service constraints are that principal must be amortized within the first 2 years from issuance. And after the first principal is amortized, debt service has to follow one of two tests. Either 1. Every debt service payment must be less than or equal to 105% of any prior debt service payment. Or 2. Every principal payment must be less than or equal to 150% of any prior principal payment. New York State Local Finance Law also has PPUs, period of probable use. A PPU contains two pieces of information, a dollar amount and a time or period, in 5-year increments depending on purpose and found in New York State Local Finance Law. The original PPU amounts are decomposed into PPU dollar components, which retain the original PPU period or time, and which are then aggregated into new synthetic PPUs. So you might have a 5-year, $50 million PPU that's added to a 5-year, 10-year, $50 million PPU. The decomposed PPU components weighted by their original PPU periods has to equal the synthetic PPU dollar amount times the synthetic PPU maturity date. Okay, that's the rule for creating the synthetic PPUs. So in our example, where we had a $50 million 5-year and a $50 million 10-year, we aggregated them into one new synthetic PPU, a $100 million PPU. That would have a 7.5-year maturity date. Okay. There's a PPU test, and that test is that the amortized principal balance, the amortized bond principal balance has to be greater than or equal to the synthetic PPU balance. Let's go back to sheet 1. This is where we left off last time. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is, since principal doesn't have to be has to be amortized within the first 2 years, and we're actually amortizing in the first year, we're just going to get rid of these constraints over here. Resolve. You see, there's only interest here at this point. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to now set up a little PPU table. Okay. So down. We've only got 10 years worth of debt service. So for us, we're going to play with two PPUs. We have $100 million that we borrowed. Okay. Let's write in the principal amount first. We write in $100 million in here. And now we look at the principal balance versus the PPU balance, which is equal to principal plus any prior principal minus PPU. We see that we always have a positive balance, so we pass our PPU test. Okay. even if our balance was, even if we had a 5-year PPU here, we would still pass our PPU test. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our PPUs. In fact, let's see where we fail our PPU test. If we had a 5-year PPU and we did nothing but just keep them same as they were. So let's experiment. Let's do $60 million over here. Remember, it's 31,988. That's our bogey. You can see that it's the minimum debt service that we have so far. Okay, so we have $60 million. And we have failed this PPU test by 21 million. So we solve, let's see, 31,988, what is that? We just need to put in these little constraints, our PPU constraints. So again, we need a positive constraint. So here, we don't want R, we want S. We want it to be greater than or equal to, and we want 0, we want it positive. Okay. Copy down. Control D. Okay. So now it went up considerably to 41 million. So let's drive it down and see where can we get it to down to 50 million. And still keep the same number. Still higher. Let's go down to 40 million. Okay, so it seems like we really don't have a lot of leeway. We can add another, go back to our 38 million, 48 million. That's what it was. I don't remember exactly. No, it's not 48. It's $38 million. Sorry about that. Okay, so at 38 million, as soon as we start moving out of this range, you can see that our minimum starts to increase. So what we're going to do is we're going to use local finance law, and we're going to break up the PPUs. Okay. So we're going to just add in a few columns here. Okay. And let's just assume something for the PPUs. Okay. Let's assume 60 million. 60 million. And we see that this is what we're getting. We're getting 41.7 million with 60 million. So it's considerably higher. Okay. Let's just record that. All right. Might as well 38 million, 36 million, whatever it was. We're 0 for that matter. we're getting, and we'd like to get as close to the 31 million as possible. So let's just keep these numbers up here. Okay. But let's assume that we have a $60 million PPU, and let's see how far. And actually, let's just do one more. Let's do a $50 million PPU. And that one's 37. So let's just remember, for the 5-year PPU, this is 60, this is 0 basically, and this is 50. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to see what happens when we invoke our synthetic PPUs. Okay. So again, we're just going to okay. Again, we have a 5-year PPU, so that's 5 here. And we have a 10-year PPU. Okay, that's 10 here. Let's say we have now a $50 million. Just for formatting purposes, I'm just going to do something here. Okay, so this is going to be 50. This is going to be the balance, which is going to be 100 million. Let's just go back to our 100 million here. Okay. Minus 50 million. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to decompose these two PPUs. Okay, now since it starts in year 5, we can only start here. Okay, so we're going to start 0 here. Okay, we're going to put in adjustable cells all over the place here. Okay, control down, and then we're going to go back to what's best, make these things adjustable. Okay. Now we need to sum and set a constraint. So here's the sum of our adjustable cells here. And the constraint is equal to, and let's just take a look, it's Q1, and this should be Q4. Okay, so it's not going to be equal, but that's fine. Copy this over. Okay. Now we're going to have the sum here equals sum. Okay. Now we're going to weigh these are the components. These adjustable cells are going to be the components. We're going to weigh them by the 5 and the 10. Okay. Because those are the periods that get carried through into the components. Equals sum product, which is also recognized by what's best. Okay, anchor it. And here. Okay, close it. And then a couple more. Okay. And we need we need to write down the years to maturity. One. So just copy that down. Okay. Now right here, we need to multiply our new synthetic PPU times its maturity. Okay. And finally, we need to set another constraint here. The constraint is going to be, okay, that's our constraint. It's going to be T and U are equal. So U and, not W, but U and T are equal. I'm just going to copy this thing down. Control D. And then what we're going to do is, where we had the prior PPUs, we're going to now add in the new synthetic PPUs. Okay, so this is column S, I believe, is our synthetic PPUs. Copy down. Okay, so look at where we are here. And now, let's take a look at what our minimum is. Look, 31,998. Miracle of miracles. We went back to the original minimum by doing this. So that's great. And that's with $50 million. So we normally, if we hadn't done this, we would have had, say, 37 million. But now we have about 32 million. Okay. Now let's try let's see what happens with $60 million here. Say it's the same. 41 million. Let's see what blows it. Where do we have to go above the 41 million? 70 million? $70 million. We go now to 34 million. Let's see where our break even is. It's somewhere between 60 and 70, so let's try 65. Just goes up slightly. It's a little under 65 million. And that's it for today.